Well, it's Christmas. And if you like Christmas presents, rejoice, because today I'm Santa Claus. I come bearing gifts for all the Christians and Muslims and Hindus and atheists of the world. I come bearing the gift of Koronagami. What is Koronagami, you ask? Koronagami is the art of transforming evil into beauty. I am the world's first and only psychopathic Quran artist, and I really don't like it when people who have no business controlling what other people say try to control what other people say. A few months ago, a jihadi stabbed a Christian evangelist named Hatun Tash in the face at Speaker's Corner in London. Surah 6 verse 108 of the Quran has instructed me how to respond when I want such behavior to stop. So I did what Surah 6 verse 108 suggests, and I made a beautiful castle out of the Quran in order to deter future jihadis from attacking Hatun. But I didn't actually make my Koronagami castle until a couple of weeks after the attack. By then, things had died down. Things had returned to normal. I didn't want to rock the boat, so I decided to postpone the release of my video. I decided to be nice. I decided to be generous. I decided to give the jihadis of the world a second chance. But recently, after receiving another bogus strike for one of my YouTube videos, a Zakir Naik fan messaged me and bragged that he was the one who got my video taken down. Video was ultimately restored, but notice, the keyboard jihadis who are filing false complaints on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook have the same mentality as the jihadi who stabbed Hatun in the face. They're all trying to control what we say about the most obvious false prophet in history. As patient and gentle as I've been over the years, the time for patience and gentleness has expired. So from now on, whenever one of my videos gets taken down for any reason, and whenever someone puts his hands on Hatun, I'm going to interpret it as begging me for a new Koronagami video. Since the jihadis and keyboard jihadis of the world clearly can't get enough Koronagami, I now present how to make a Koronagami castle. All right, so there are people who want to stab other people in the face for saying the wrong thing, and that will always bring out the artist in me. So we're going to do some Koronagami now, and we're going to actually build a castle. And this is a pretty big project, not in terms of difficulty, just in terms of how much time it takes, because there's going to be a lot of pieces. So when I build my castle parts, I'm actually going to use these smaller squares because I don't want it to be too big. I'd like it to be, yay big. But to demonstrate how to build the parts, I'm going to use these larger squares, and that's just because it'll be easier for you to see on camera. So if you're building a castle, there are only three basic pieces that you need to build. You need the blocks, you need some turret supports, you'll see what those are in a minute, and then you need your roofs. So let's go ahead and see how to build a block, and this is something that can be useful for lots of things, so it's a good bit of origami to get down, and it's not terribly difficult. So lots of times when you're making some origami, or Koronagami in this case, you put some folds on the paper at the beginning that are meant for later, right? You're trying to make lines on your page of the Quran because those lines are going to come in handy later. And so you're basically folding and then unfolding them. So right now we're making sort of a checkerboard pattern. I don't know how clear this is going to be on the camera because it's kind of hard to see with the with all this gibberish all over the page anyway, but we'll see. And so making kind of a checkerboard pattern here. And this would be basically a quarter of a checkerboard. And so once you've folded those to the middle and then folded them into quarters and so on, you have basically a quarter of a checkerboard. Now, after you got that, you flip it over. You're going to flip it over. And then, not sure you can see this right here, but there's an intersection right here. There's a little point right there. And you're going to fold this right up to that point. Get this nice down here, turn it around, and then this little piece that's left, you're going to fold it right to the point of the other one. Now you've got that. So this folded along this line here, this folded along that line, and then you're going to fold this down to the other side. Pretty easy so far, right? And then once you've got that, then you're going to fold these right up to the middle. And again, I don't know if you can see the lines, but these are all lines we made at the beginning. And so there's actually a little intersection right here, right in the middle. You fold it right up to that. And then you do the same thing with this other side. And here, you're not leaving it like that. You were just making some folds here, because watch what happens now. Now you've got this line on the other side, and you can sort of push in on it a little bit, and then pull these together, and then you can kind of flatten this out. If that wasn't clear, no problem. We're doing it on the other side as well. So notice, all we did, we folded this in, then we flipped it over. Now we're going to push in right here, and then that's going to allow us to do this. Now you've got that shape. Not looking much like a box yet, right? Well, now we're going to tuck these in. If you notice, there's a little spot right back here. We're going to tuck these behind there. And if that wasn't clear, no problem, because I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to tuck this back here. Now, still not looking like a box, right? Well, just fold this right here, and this is, again, just to make a fold line. Undo it. Fold this here. Once again, just to make a fold line. Fold that back up. And then still not looking like a box, right? Well, watch what happens when we start to open this thing up. Then, starting to see where we're going, right? But you can open this other side too. And you just have to smooth it out a little bit. And now you've got what is starting to look like a box. But notice, it's not enough. You've basically got part of a box. You need two of these to make a box. Well, at least the way we're making it. So, I'll fast forward this, but I'm basically going to do the same thing with another one. All right, so now we have two of these. And if you just want a basic block, you stick these together, you're going to fold these down. But you would fold these other ones down too in making a box. But if you leave these little tabs sticking out and you make your box, then notice they work as connectors. These little things sticking out work as connectors, and they can slide into these spots right here. And so you can actually build things like Legos out of these blocks when you leave these things out. And so also, if you can have just one of these, and you can also put it in like that, and this can make like the top of an archway. An arch doorway or something like that. Can also be, if you put it on another block, it has this little triangular opening and can function like a window. So this can actually be one of the parts you'll use for a castle. And we'll go ahead and toss some of those in as well. But notice, if you want just a block, then you'd fold these tabs down. Fold these tabs down, And then assemble your block. And ta-da! It's the Kaaba. We've just made the Kaaba. So now you know how to make a Kaaba if you want. And actually, all right, found a Sharpie, and we can actually make a better Kaaba. All right, looking a little better. I'm still not satisfied with this Kaaba. I believe we can make it look even better, but I'm gonna let this black Sharpie dry before I get my hands all gooped up. All right, the next part you'll need to build a castle is a turret support. This is probably the trickiest one to build, and even it's not too difficult, but if you're brand new to origami, I would focus on learning the box. The first several folds are going to be the same as for the block, and so I'm going to fast forward through this. All right, so that's the same as the beginning of a block. The only difference is this time we're only going to tuck one side. Remember, at this stage in building a block, we would tuck both of these sides in. This time we're only going to tuck this side in. And then the other side, we're going to open up. We're going to open up like that. And then we're going to open this entire flap right here, while flattening this triangle here down. And then we're going to open the other side. Flatten this side down. So notice we're getting this parallel thing, except this, which is now in the way. And we have to flip it underneath here. All right, so we have this structure. And we're going to flip this up. Right there. And now we're about to get ready to build our turret support. We want a little line right here. I'm about to undo this. It was just to make a little line. But we're going to flip these sides up. Do the same with the other side. Now we're starting to get the shape of our turret support, but these guys are in the way, and this whole backside is in the way. So we want this to come up like this. And again, if this is confusing, don't worry about this. There aren't a lot of situations where you will need to build a turret support unless you're building this particular castle that we're using. So we want that up like that. But now these little side flaps are in the way. So another little tricky part, we have to undo this tab so that we can open this up. We're not opening it up permanently, we're just opening it long enough to tuck these guys in on the sides there. So that those are going to be out of the way. And then fold this back down. Oops. Fold this back down, tuck it back in right where it just was. So again, we're only opening that up so that we get the other pieces in. And now you have the shape of a turret support. So on your castle, this would be folded down, and you tuck that part somewhere, This comes out at an angle, and you now have another structure to build because you have a slot right there where you can start inserting things, and you have a slot right there. And so, an example of our little Kaaba, you would put this down in there, and then you have a place to start building at an angle. So that's how you build a turret support. Now that we're back to our Kaaba, and our Kaaba is nice and dry, we can make this a little better. Gotta love gold markers. So what we need are some stripes around here. And the Kaaba covering has one solid stripe. I think I should have been a little bit lower with it. But it has one solid stripe that goes around it like this. If I really wanted to do this nice, I suppose I could do some measurements and so on. So the Kaaba has this one solid gold stripe. Well, I mean, from far away it looks like solid gold stripe. And then there's like a door. This gold paint actually comes off. And then there's more of a dash design, I think, something like that. I could look and get it right, but I think it's like this, like that. And I believe there's something, there's some spots on the edge here. Something like that. Well, there you have it. A Origami Kaaba. And matter of fact, first one of my patrons who's watching and sends me a message saying you want this, go ahead and send me a message real quick, and I'll send you that. All right, the last thing we need for a basic castle is a roof shape. And so we're going to want to get this folded diagonally. And this is another situation where it's not here to stay. We're making lines. We're making lines for later. We're going to flip this over. And then we're going to fold it in half. Then we're going to fold it in half. And now, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but there's a diagonal line right here because we made a diagonal. We made a diagonal in the paper at the beginning. We're going to fold this down to that diagonal. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Fold this right down to the diagonal. So you've done that on both sides. Now, all you're doing is making a line. Open it back up. And you have a line going right here. And they're going to fold that along that line that you made. So all that stuff at the beginning was just to get this line right here. Now you've got your line. And now you're starting to get a kind of equal sides here. I'm going to fold this over. Fold that over. Now you've got two little flaps there, two little flaps there. These are going to fold up for a moment, and fold them right back down. We're just trying to get a good fold in there. This side you're going to flip over. And now you've got three flaps together, and this one on the other side. You're going to flip this. Now, you could make something that has 4 flaps on it. We only need 2 because if you recall, these things often only have 2 slots to put something in. So we're going to get rid of these. We're going to tuck these back here. We don't need them. And that's why we did a temporary fold there, just so they fold down in there nicely for tucking. So those are in there. And now we want to make a fold right here, because it's going to be one of the edges of our roof, but we're just unfolding that for now. And now comes the part where, because we want the roof to overlap a little bit, we fold it in and fold this down. Do the same thing over here. Fold this up. Then fold it down some. That's just because we want a little overhang with our roof. And now we can open this up. And we can see what we've been doing. Just tighten up the edges a little bit. And then, so that was the point of the fold in there, is to have this little overhang. And so notice, if you had something like the Kaaba and you wanted to build a roof for the Kaaba, you build it like this, and there you got it. All that rain in Mecca would now roll right off and not hit the Kaaba. So those are the basic shapes you need to build a castle. Now again, I want to make them out of these smaller squares. There's no way I'm going to sit at this desk for 5 or 7 hours making these. I'm going to go fold up a ton of these, sitting in front of the television, and then I'm going to come back when I have a ton of pieces, and then we'll put together a castle. Well, that was one of the most horrible experiences ever. The things I am willing to do to make a point. You'd think that eventually people would stop wanting to mess with me. So we've got some turret supports here, nice beautiful turret supports. We've got some roofs here. We've got some blocks with the flaps. We've got some blocks without flaps. There are places you can use blocks without the flaps. And we've got some of these unassembled blocks, because you can use those for windows or for arches over doorways. So a lot of pages of the Quran gave their lives for this castle. So let's make sure it's worth it. Drop the beat. Well, here you have it, the world's first and only castle made entirely of the Quran. Now, obviously, this is only loosely held together. There's just triangular flaps of paper holding all of this together. If you want it to last a long time and not to fall apart if someone bumps into it, then you could just put little bits of glue in between the pieces. You could put little tiny paper clips in places. You can even fold pieces of paper and sort of wedge them in various places to keep things together. And you can add some extra details. You can color the roofs and so on. So lots you can do here. Obviously, you don't have to make it the same way I did. You can make it anyway. You could make a Kaaba. We'll take the roof off there. You could make a Kaaba and build the entire Grand Mosque around it entirely out of Quran pages. All kinds of things you can do. Now, why would we want to do this? Why would we want to make a castle out of the Quran? Well, it looks like our friends who want to stab people in faces need a safe space where they can run to whenever someone tells them the truth about their prophet. So I have made the perfect safe space where they can run in and be surrounded by the Quran and never hear anything about how stupid it is. Well, there you have it. Once again, I transformed evil into beauty. Once again, I responded to violence with peace. If you've been following my channel this year, you know that I tried to be nice. I tried to be merciful. I tried harder than I ever tried before. I tried and tried and tried. And what did I get in return? Insults, threats, endless false complaints to YouTube, bragging about getting me bogus strikes. What do other Christians get? They get stabbed in the face, all to control what we say. I'm sick of trying, but I'm not sick of folding. I can fold all day. If I really wanted, I could put out 10 Origami videos a day. Most things only take about 5 minutes to make, so it's easy to crank out videos. But David, we'll get you banned from YouTube. Then I'll post the videos on other platforms that won't ban me. And I'm sure people will end up posting them on YouTube. There's no way for you to win here. So if you see me making Origami videos, don't get mad at me. Get mad at Allah for revealing Surah 6, verse 108 of the Quran. And get mad at anyone who tries to control what we say, because it's their behavior, their actions that lead to these kinds of videos. If you don't want me making videos like this, then stop trying to control what we say. You do not get to control me just because an illiterate 7th century Arabian caravan robber and pedophile was so easily offended that he had to start killing people for making fun of him. I don't take orders from your fake prophet. I don't take orders from your fake God. I don't take orders from your stupid book. I don't take orders from you. I am not, have never been, and never will be your dhimmi. If you can live with that, then we're good. If you can't live with that, then I'm going to need a lot of Qurans, because I will spend the rest of my life filling the shelves of every freedom-loving man and woman on this planet with little paper reminders that evil can be transformed into beauty, peacefully. Now, go whine about me to YouTube, because you know you'd be wasting your time whining about me to your fake God.
It just backfired on you. It just backfired on you. This is a part of a religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah?